everyone, it's Melanie here with Benny Chill Studio. I'm so glad you joined me today. I will be going out on a limb, literally and figuratively. I am using real leaves to create a card, and I'd like to share that with you. So as you know, sometimes I try different things. This is from a Wisteria vine, and I tried to find leaves that would lay flat. That's very important for your card making. So I'll be working on a craft piece of cardstock. I've cut that down to 4.5 by 6.5 inches. That will be the mat that I'm working on. And I'm going to start with these Distress stain sprays. I'm using Twisted Citron and Fossilized Amber. Perfect colors for a fall card. So I've got a little spray box here off to the side with just some scrap paper in it. And I do all of my spraying in the box so I don't have any overspray on my desk or other projects. And here is what my little mat looks like. Then I'm simply going to take a kind of a almost clean paper towel and just dab around on that to get the colors mixing around. And then I will use Mod-podge on the back of my Wisteria leaves. See, I'm going to put those at an angle there on my card mat, kind of like this. So I will take the Mod-podge and generously go over the back of these leaves because this is how I'm going to stick it to the card front. Now, this is the first time I've tried this, and you have to let this dry in between doing your different layers of leaves. And I was happy to say that this wasn't a fancy drying process. This is just Mod-podge onto some plain old craft cardstock, and it actually kept the colors pretty well as the leaves dried. So at the end of the video you'll see the end product of my card, and you can tell that the leaves faded back very little as they dried. So anyway, just give this a good press however you want to put this on your card mat. You don't have to do it like I'm doing it. Just play around with what you've got and see what appeals to you visually. So this was kind of satisfying and a lot of fun, and I think this might even be a good project to do with kids. So once I've got that put down over my mat, I'm going to take a little bit of wax paper, and I covered this with just a package of heavyweight cardstock. It was a pretty good solid thing there to press down over my card front. And you want to let that dry for a little bit. You can see it's still a little bit damp, and carefully remove your wax paper and press down any areas that need a little more adhesion there. Just giving that a good press. And then I'm going to remove that from my little scrap piece of paper and just take my scissors and clip off the excess around the edges of this mat. Just go ahead and do that, because this again will be put on a 5 by 7 card base a little later in the video. I'll show you how that works out. So there's the basis of our leaf mat. Isn't that fun? I mean, just looking at fall leaves is fun, and seeing which ones might work is kind of inspiring and also a little bit of a challenge. So after that first layer dries, go over the leaves, over the top of them with the Mod-podge again. This is going to kind of seal them against the card mat there from the front. And then we're going to move on with other layers. Now, the top leaves here are from a peach tree, and the bottom one is from a nandina. And I just love the different colors. So what you're going to do is, now with these peach leaves, they're one at a time, so just do a composition that visually is appealing to you. And you can see these leaves did not lay as flat as the Wisteria leaves, so that was a little bit of a challenge, but these were the flattest leaves that I could find. So I was looking for a variety of leaves as well as a variety of colors for the front of this card. So just take your time, put together a composition that you like, using however many leaves you like, what sizes you like. It's totally up to you. There's no right or wrong way to do this. Just go for it. It is leaf art. And you're going to repeat this process again with the wax paper and something heavy over the top. Let it dry maybe 15 to 20 minutes. Pull that off Start on the next layer. This is the Nandina, so I'm going to do the same thing, applying a little bit of Mod Podge to the back, get it put on the front, cover it with wax paper, put a heavy object over the top. Again, do whatever you like. If you want to do one leaf, that would be beautiful too. Just one big, beautiful maple leaf or something like that. Right now, I am in Texas and we don't have a lot of different colors going on, and luckily, I mean, we have a little bit going on here as far as a change in colors, but what happens is we're normally so dry that they fall off in self-defense before you can get to the leaves. And then you don't want to work with dried leaves. You want leaves that are pliable. So if you can pull them off your bush, pull them off of the tree, shrub, whatever you've got, it's better to work with them when they're still on their main source. So don't try to work with dried leaves, they would get too brittle. So there you go, you can see the front of my card there. It's coming along quite nicely. Now after that has dried, well, I let this dry overnight for all the layers, and then I'm going to come back and go over the top to really seal them. And you can see I'm going from edge to edge here on my card front, so we're going to go through this again and then repeat the same drawing process that we used for all the layers. The other thing that weight from heavy cardstock or whatever you want to put over your panel, the other thing that does is kind of flatten your panel out because it will want to start to curl just from the moisture of the Mod Podge itself. Okay, and then what I want to do to add a little interest around the edge here is I'm going to take a distress crayon, and this is walnut stain, and because you have that Mod Podge that has dried now over the whole card front, you will be able to just put this on and then take your finger and move it around. You can see what happens here. I'm starting to get a little shading effect, and it's going to make my card panel stand out from my contrasting mat that I will put behind this. So just go around all the edges, no right or wrong way to do this, and you will get a little more interest here to outline your leaf panel. Okay, so it's looking good. Now the next thing I want to do, this is a 5x7" card base, and I'm going to create a contrasting mat. I was trying to decide what color I like the best, and this mat will be 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. So I got that cut out and adhered to my card front. Now I'm going to take a little razor blade and go on each side of the stem here on the front of my card. This is going to add a little more dimension and some color, and I decided to go with this gold ribbon. And the reason I'm cutting these slits on each side is because I'm going to thread that ribbon from the back to the front so that I can tie a bow there on the front of my card. I just wanted to do something nice and neat to gather in those little twigs at the bottom, and again to add just a little bit of dimension. So this won't be any kind of bulky dimension for mailing purposes. The ribbon will lay flat when you put it in an envelope, so that should not create a problem when you're mailing this card. So I'll simply get that tied. Now here is a little trick that a friend of mine taught me in high school. Actually, her mother taught us this. If you turn things upside down and tie your bows, like even on belts or hair ribbons or anything like that, somehow they come out the perfect way when you turn it back around the right way. So just do it backwards. That's the trick. Tying your bow backwards. If that means flipping it upside down, give it a try. See if it works for you. It's worked for me for years. So I just thought I'd pass along that little tip. And here's another thing. So the panel flattened out pretty good under that weight and time, of letting it dry. But using foam tape on anything that has a little bit of a wave to it or isn't completely flat will help secure this on the front of your card and actually flatten out that panel the way you want it to look. So if you've got something that's curling up just a bit, try a little foam tape, see if that works for you. It works great for me on this card with this panel. coming together here, folks. Look at that. I'm just going to trim off these edges, these ends on my ribbon. And then the last thing I want to do is add a sentiment to the top of my card. And off camera, I have stamped a sentiment and done the same distress sprays in the box and all of that stuff. I cut out a little tag, added the little rivet there, and some fine hemp rope that looks kind of natural, and I'm going to add that to the top of my card. Just a thankful for you, a general any time of the fall card here. It could be for Thanksgiving, it could be at any time in the fall. And that finishes my card for today. I hope you enjoyed this video, that you will go out and take a look at the leaves around your home, or in the park, or along a walking trail, wherever you are. See what you can find. Bring it back. See if you can put together a card like this. I think it's a fun little project, and you would really enjoy working with this medium. So, thank you so much for coming by. Please feel free to subscribe, leave me comments. Thank you to everybody who's following me, that comes back to visit every week, and happy crafting, everyone.